And welcome into the Week 11 edition of the Consistently Cashin podcast. I am Colby Conway at Colby R. Conway over on X. And with me here this week, as you see the bottom of the screen, says Ron Rigney. That is not Ron Rigney that I'm
I don't have a gun for it.
Yeah, I was going to say you can get those the molds that you can do the face and hide that, but you can't fake biceps. And
nope. Can't
Ron has those, but Bob Lung is here, the pioneer of the consistency concept here and head of BigGuyFantasySports.com. So, Bob, I would ask you how you're doing, but we just talked on the Prop It Like It's Hot podcast. Yep. So, go if you want to know how Bob's doing, go to that podcast and listen in this moment. That'll tell you. But Bob, glad to have you here for the Consistently Cashin this week, and I'm back in the seat. So Ron naturally gets his turn in this little rotation that we have. Yeah. He gets his week off. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, man. Always good to be here. We've been doing great this year, regardless of who's sitting in the seats on the Consistently Cash. I think we've only missed maybe a couple of weeks that I can think of. A couple of weeks ago, I remember we did one and I actually won like $240 or something between. So I always put whatever we do in the millionaire one just for shits and giggles, and I think I won $240 on that or something between that and the typical cash double up thing. So, But yeah, always excited to do this. Always a lot of fun.
Yep, absolutely. So of course we do it over on DraftKings. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the slate here. So Bob, we'll kind of go position by position, just like we normally do, talk about it here. So as we're looking at it here, the top end quarterbacks, it's interesting. Quarterback's position, like I know a couple years back, it was let's find the budget option, get the points, load up elsewhere. It almost seems now you almost have to pay up for one of the big time quarterbacks, or you better darn nail whatever value play you do at quarterback. Right. So let's take a look at the top four just for right now. Josh Allen, Tua, Justin Herbert, and Dak Prescott, all with a red icon there for the opposition, right? Meaning it's not a great matchup. Do you find yourself paying up for any of those four in any of your lineup builds this week, or maybe your main lineup build, I should say?
The only one I would like is maybe the Raiders. I'm surprised that they're 8th against quarterbacks. Maybe it's because they haven't played. I guess they've played some good ones, but I think their schedule has not been against a lot of great quarterbacks, because I'm shocked that they're that low, or that high, I should say. Tua in Miami, it's supposed to be 85 degrees and sunny, a perfect day down there. If anybody can put up some big points real quick, they've got H back. So, if I did pay up, that would probably be the guy, but there's a lot of value in guys below like Goff and Stroud and, some of those guys as well. So yeah, I could go either way, but I think we could save at least $700, $800 and maybe go a little bit lower. But if I did have to pay up, I think Tua would be my guy.
Yeah, I probably won't get above. CJ Stroud would probably be the highest price quarterback that I'm going to pay at this week. If you're doing GPPs and stuff, you could probably go to Tua just because you want to look in case they, pop off for 40 plus in this game. But that next little tier there in that about 6,000, 6,100 to 7,000. This is where the quarterbacks are in the highest game total. CJ Stroud and Kyler Murray both in there, as well as Justin Fields and Jared Goff. Obviously, Jared Goff is a home machine. I believe it's 8 touchdowns this year in like 5 games at home, and that offense can pop off as well. It's a very good matchup against Chicago. I would expect, if I had a crystal ball looking into it, given the game total in that Arizona-Houston game, given Kyler's rushing ability, my guess would be Kyler at $6,100 has to be one of the higher owned quarterbacks on the slate. That would be my hunch if I'm looking at this. So you could go chalk with Kyler, or if you do think that game is going to pop off, you may actually be able to get CJ Stroud at a lower ownership than Kyler Murray. If you had to pick between Stroud and Murray, because I'm assuming at the decision a lot of people are going to look at this week, do you lean one way or the other?
I would lean towards Stroud. I mean, Murray just had his first game back. Yeah, he can certainly do things with his legs, but boy, Stroud has just been lighting it up on the path, air raiding it late over the last couple of weeks against Tampa and last week as well. if I had to pick, I think I would go Stroud just because I think he has more touchdown capability, throwing touchdowns. Murray's, and they got James Conner back, so maybe they try to slow the game down by giving it to him. I don't know. If I had to lean there, but between those two, I'd probably go Stroud. But I really like Goff this week, but I get it.
Speaking of, well, let me throw this out there just because it's really interesting, and I know the numbers are buoyed by his 1,000-yard game against Tampa Bay, but in 4 games at home this year, CJ Stroud is averaging just under 340 passing yards per game.
Whew.
He's like the AFC Jared Goff in terms of home road splits. That's about it. I do really like CJ Stroud this week. And honestly, here's the thing. In this tier, basically, I guess without kind of beating a dead horse here, we're pretty much going Stroud, Murray, or Goff. Those are one of the 3 quarterbacks we're going with. All of them have very logical stacks with them. Very logical. So I think you can get away with all 3 of them.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, whatever one I agree. Any of those 3, because we could always put in Stroud, and then if we need $400 somewhere else, then we go to Goff, or we drop all the way down to Murray for another 500 savings. So yeah, maybe start with Stroud and then kind of just roll from there and see how the money flushes out.
Let me put you in a precarious spot. So if you haven't listened to the Prop It Like It's Hot podcast yet, Bob Lung, big Jordan Love fan this week. That's your little spoiler alert there. What about Jordan Love at 5,600 against that? What's the cheese with all the holes in it? That Swiss?
Swiss.
Yeah, that Swiss cheese defense that Brandon Staley has cooking over there in Los Angeles. Could you get to Jordan Love? Because like we said like I said on the Prop It Like It's Hot podcast, you like his over on passing yards. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
The fantasy points are good here. You just can't watch the game. So that's the only thing with Jordan Love. But can you do it at 5,600? Because right here, it's about 2 to 3 times your ROI, and he's only 5,600.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with that. Again, if you wanted to, bust that one and then go heavy somewhere else, maybe it's. I think all those have potential. Again, it's just. It may be good to go look at the running backs and wide receivers and tight ends and see where we're spending, and then kind of come back and fit in whatever quarterback fits in best.
Yep, I would agree. I'll throw in Brock Purdy as well, just because Tampa Bay is so bad in the secondary. RE, CJ Stroud against them, so you can take a look there. So quarterback pretty much narrowed it down to 3 to 5, but it's a very strong 3. With 2 that we're kind of putting on the back end there. So we go over to running back. I'm not paying up for Christian McCaffrey this week. Good matchup maybe, but not in this one. Tampa Bay stinks because they have like a 2,000-pound defensive tackle who just eats up the entire line. So tough to run against them. If you are paying up for running back this week, if you have the funds, which I would prefer to pay up at wide receiver for one guy in particular, but if you have the money, Austin Eckler at 8,600 is my absolute favorite. He's my favorite running back this week. Overall, he is my favorite. I mean, just last week, Najee Harris, who hasn't done anything against anybody, popped off last week, and Jalen Warren. So they allowed not 1, but 2 running backs last week to go nuts. So Austin Eckler, he catches so many passes, and on DraftKings where you get PPR. If you're paying up at running back, Austin Eckler is the top guy for me. If we drop down a little bit, any of these other names kind of catch your eye. Like, do you want to go Saquon Barkley with Danny DeVito at quarterback? What about Jahmyr Gibbs? Do you drop down? Can Tony Pollard find the end zone for the first time since 1947? Like, what do you think here with that mid-ish tier of running back?
I think Gibbs has a potential for a big day, but the problem is as long as Dave Montgomery's healthy, then they share too much. Achin is supposed to start this week. He's always got the most upside, right? I mean, he can bust off runs like there's no tomorrow at 6,600. But it's his first game back. So are they going to take it easy on him? I mean, but yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you on Eckler. He's definitely the best name there. I mean, ETN has been pretty good lately. Tennessee, though, is pretty tough against the run. I mean, it certainly makes a lot of sense that Barkley would see the ball a lot with Danny DeVito at quarterback. But yeah, Josh Jacobs, I think, has popped off 2 back-to-back weeks of close to 100 yards rushing. He might be involved a lot in the passing game because Miami could get off to a quick start. So yeah, a lot of different potential there. David Montgomery, of course, has been big in almost a lot of his games. He certainly, he came back and looked strong again last week. He's at 6,500. So I think there's a lot of good choices. Brian Robinson is down there at 5,800, and he's now 5th in total points in fantasy right now. So he's been red hot. So, I mean, outside of that, you start getting into some real crap.
Yeah, it's after. So David Montgomery's got the revenge game narrative. If people like that, if you want to take a walk down narrative street, you got that. Outside of Austin Eckler, I am sub 6,500 at running back. We come down, listen to Profit Like It's Hot. You'll hear my thoughts on Aaron Jones this week. Love Brian Robinson, so I'm glad you mentioned him. Arizona is allowing the 3rd most fantasy points per game to running backs. Dameon Pierce is out, and Devin Singletary got 30 carries last week.
Right.
Houston should run it again a good bit and sustain drive. So Devin Singletary at 5,300, I would expect to be rather chalky this week. So you could look towards him. I would be interested in Kareem Hunt, but I just don't think I'm going to do it. Khalil Herbert's back, but you can't run on Detroit.
Points,
yeah.
Especially the over-under, like 14 or whatever it was. Something. It's like it was like the lowest. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd lowest ever, and the Browns were all 3 of them.
Yep.
How sad it was. And one of them was a Browns-Steelers game when they had the 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah. So
I remember watching that.
Interesting stuff there, running back. I don't think you need to go below Devin Singletary. I think you can go James Conner. Houston's still allowing a good bit of fantasy points, although the run defense is much better. They are not the full-blown pushover that they were last year, but still allow a bunch of fantasy points, mainly from touchdowns. But it could definitely go there. So a lot of mid-tier running backs that I really like this week. Again, if you're paying up fully, it's Austin Eckler or bust. After that, hang out in that mid $6,000 to low $5,000 range. Go to wide receiver here. My favorite of these top guys is none other than Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
How do you not? Chicago struggles with wide receivers. I mean, he's got 4 straight 100-yard games, at least 9 targets in each of those. He's found the end zone in 3 of his last 5. I mean, the floor is insane, but we got the ceiling as well. Like, we're looking at, 16 plus fantasy points. So right there is basically 2 times our ROI with upwards of 4x because he's got 25 plus in 3 of his last 4. Again, Detroit's at home, which is good for Jared Goff, which means it's good for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So of these top guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown is my preferred pay-up option. Are you in the same boat with me there?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Keon Allen's coming off a shoulder injury. Supposed to play, but one hit. CeeDee Lamb has been red hot, but Carolina has been pretty tough against wide receivers. Hill is Hill. He can always go off, but 9,300, paying up at $9,000. Boy, it's a little much.
Come down a little bit in tier. I do like Brandon Ayuk just because Tampa Bay secondary is so bad.
I was going to say the same thing. He was another one I was looking at. Yeah.
Yep. I do like Brandon Ayuk a good bet. I think you go Deebo Samuel as well. I expect ownership to be higher on Ayuk. So maybe Ayuk for cash games and Deebo for any GPPs or tournaments that you tend to be entering. Nico Collins returns from his injury. He's obviously been a big play guy for the Houston offense, but he is not my Houston receiver of choice this week. And you can actually save some money with my preferred option. So we'll get to him in a bit here. I was on Amari Cooper this week until the Watson injury. So that removes him from the picture for me. And then we come down here. Speaking of the Houston receiver I like, it is Tank Dell. 25 targets over the last 2 weeks. Yep. No Noah Brown, which means his role is safe, and it would be safe even if Noah Brown was out there. But now it's just one less guy to fend for targets with. So for me, in terms of a price or a fantasy point per dollar this week, Tank Dell is one of my favorite options on the board.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that with Noah Brown out. No question about it. Looking down, we talked about Jordan Love and some of the, Christian Watson's only $4,600. he has yet to do anything significant. At some point, he's got to bust out. You wonder if this is the week against the Chargers.
If it doesn't happen against the Chargers, it's not happening. That's where we're at with Christian Watson this year. Like this is the week. I mean, it's really hard. I know we're not talking seasonal fantasy, but
right.
If he doesn't do it this week, if you've been holding on to him, this might be what is the saying? The straw that breaks the camel's back.
Yeah.
This could be it for Christian Watson on fantasy teams. I have no clue what's happened to him. Actually, I do. It's Jordan Love. I know what's happened. It's just I'm going to say I don't know what's happened because you just can't explain it. Like one of the bigger fantasy busts this season.
Yeah, and I was never in on him because I don't know. It was just time. I just didn't see enough consistency out of him and out of the offense to warrant.
Well, you're getting consistency this year. Look,
he's got 3 catches in like
that's
the
great.
last 5 games.
This is as consistent as it comes. Now it's bad, but he's consistent.
Yeah. Bad consistency is not good consistency.
Yeah. If you're going to go with a Green Bay receiver this week, I'm actually going to go with the rookie Jaden Reed as he's been popping off a little bit. And they're vulnerable out of the slot, but 10 plus fantasy games in 3 of his last 4. His role should only be growing in that offense. Keep an eye on Tyler Lockett.
Oh, there it is. $4,000. Yeah, nice.
Yep. Keep an eye on Tyler Lockett. If he's out or limited in any capacity, Jackson Smith in Jigba gets a nice bump against the Rams. And outside of that at running back, I do like Marquise Brown because there's just going to be so many points scored in that Houston-Arizona game, I believe. So you got him there. And if you're big in that Chicago-Detroit game, like we probably might be, at the very least with Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Moore at 5,600 seems really cheap with Justin Fields back in the mix. So,
good point. Yeah, no, that's a good call as well. Yeah.
Anybody way down here that catches my eye? I did mention slot receivers against Detroit, so you could, if people zig to DJ Moore, maybe we zag to Darnell Mooney and hope for the best there. Outside of that, I don't think you need to be hanging out down in this part of the pricing tier.
No. We're waiting for
Billy
Jameson
Johnson
Williams breakout. Jameson Williams breakout, which hasn't happened.
Yeah, that's another one. If it doesn't happen, it might not happen at all.
Yeah.
So have to see there. All right, that's the receiver position. Let's go over to tight end quick. George Kittle, highest priced tight end on the slate this week. So
wow,
good for him. You can score on Tampa Bay, and you can do it with the tight end. So I think Kittle is in play. None of my builds that I've done, I've had money for Kittle. I haven't. For me, I'm dropping down a little bit, even lower than Laporta. I think you can go Dalton Schultz just because he is pretty locked in that offense. But for me, it's a tight end on that opposite side of the game. It's Trey McBride. Peppered with targets last week. Houston is one of the worst teams in the league against tight ends, and at just 4,400, 5 for 50, which would be a very modest day for McBride. It gets us over 2x return on investment. So Trey McBride is my favorite tight end this week.
Yeah, I was looking at something real quick. So week 4 and 5, which was the big weeks for Justin Fields, which is the last 2 weeks before he got hurt. Cole Kmet, 7 for 85 for 2 touchdowns and 5 for 42 for 1 touchdown. Just saying.
Yeah.
Justin Fields loves him some Cole Kmet. But
no, so, I think he's in play too. So the tight end position.
And Musgrave too. Did you mention Musgrave?
I did in the Profit Like It's Hot article, I believe.
Right.
So make sure you see that there. But yeah, well, Chargers are bad against everybody.
So it's down there. Yeah.
So, and ultimately, I think that's what it's going to come down to with your lineups is if you're stacking Arizona, Houston, McBride's the option. If you want another piece of that Chicago-Detroit game, you can go Cole Kmet. I do like Musgrave at 3,600. And then honestly, I have not gone below Musgrave in any lineup that I made because I have not had to. So is Freiermuth
is back this week. Another one, if you want to go even cheaper, Tyler Conklin has been pretty consistent. Not putting up a ton of points, but if you just need a body to pay low, he's there. Who's I was looking for? Yeah, Logan Thomas. He's 3,700. So.
Yeah, you're probably hanging out in that range there. And then real quick, we don't need to spend too much time on defense because I feel like whatever money we have left will be dictated by that. It's hard not to like the Cowboys defense. Just hard not to like them going against Carolina. I really like the Commanders when you look at some lines, Danny
Oh,
DeVito,
right.
aka
Yeah.
aka Tommy DeVito, his passing yards line is like 160 passing yards for an NFL quarterback.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Well, you could also
definitely
go
do that.
$100 cheaper and go with the Steelers
Or you could
against
go
DTR.
you go $200 more and go Cleveland with how good they've been.
That's true. They have been good, but
I wouldn't be worried about Pittsburgh. Like, sure, they look fine against Green Bay, but I mean, many people have.
yeah.
So, if you were to drop down a little bit below them, maybe the Dolphins, if you're not a believer in Aiden O'Connell,
Right.
then I don't think you need to go down any farther than that. Yeah, I don't think you need to. All right, let's go ahead and build a lineup. So
All right.
let's do it this way first. It does not matter about the position. Give me your one player that has to be in our lineup, and I will do it as well, and that will formulate the beginning of our.
Well, I'm
our
going to
team.
steal your thunder, but I'm going to take the Sun God. I'm on Ron St. Brown.
That is okay.
He's probably our highest price guy, but like you said, I feel like he has to be there.
I would agree with that, and I'll actually just stick at wide receiver, and I'm going to put in Tank Dell.
Okay.
So that's the points per dollar guy for me. So that's where I am going there. So let's go ahead from there. Anybody else that we're key on? I guess we could look at quarterback because that may kind of pick and choose from there how we go about things. But so I didn't make it any easier on us. So we can go Goff to stack with Brown, or we can go Stroud to stack with Dell. That's pretty much a decision that's going to come down to what we could do. I always find it easier to take money away than trying to find to add money. We could put Stroud in, see what our lineup comes out to, and if we need to save $400 to $900, we can move it around from there.
Okay.
Let's put Stroud. I would really like us to put in Trey McBride.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we'll put him in there. We have no running backs yet, so I don't know how good a start that'll be. It's looking like we're not going to be able to get Eckler, which is okay.
Which we really weren't that excited about him.
So we come down a little bit here. I do like Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Going against the Chargers. We did talk a lot about Brian Robinson.
Yeah, and Antonio Gibson's not playing at all. So I think Brian Robinson's a definite, and I'm good with putting in Jones as well.
Okay, let's put in Jones for now. We always have like a $900 swap. We could move to Singletary if we want a second Texan, but we'll have to see how we come out there. So we got room for another wide receiver here.
But we're going to have to go cheap because we're down to like $4,000.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to see
maybe your Jaden Reed one?
We could go with Reed because that would give us a Green Bay guy. Do you want to see if we could fit?
Well, we have Aaron Jones already.
Oh yeah, we don't need two Packers. I don't like it. I don't like Jordan Love that much.
Okay.
What about trying DJ Moore?
Yeah. Where's he at?
56.
56.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work. Oh, yeah, that's gonna be tight. Yeah. All right. So we may have to move it a little bit, but let's leave it in there for now. Or
you put DJ Moore in. Okay.
Yeah, I threw him in for now. We're probably gonna have to move off him. But defense, you good with Commanders?
Yeah.
And then 2,700 for a flex.
Ugh, that can't be good.
That might give you Conklin.
Oh, I see.
Oh no, we're 200 short of Conklin.
Okay.
But we could move if we move off Aaron Jones at 62.
Okay.
James Conner at 57. Devin Singletary at 53. I kind of really like Aaron Jones. Or do we just move off? Do we move off Stroud to like Jared Goff? That gives us 3,100 for a flex.
So Goff, but you're leaving Jones in. Okay.
Yeah, we'll leave Jones in. So that would give us Conklin. We're going double tight end.
We actually did that last week with Schultz and somebody else.
Conklin is 29. So that'd be Goff, Brian Robinson, Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tank Dell, DJ Moore, Trey McBride, Tyler Conklin, Commanders defense.
Where was Conklin?
2,900.
Oh.
I don't mind that. because we can't really do much better than Conklin. If we move Aaron Jones down to Devin Singletary, that opens up $900. We already have 200 left, so that would give us 1,100. So that gets us 4,000 in the flex. That does put us in Jaden Reed territory, but again, I can't trust two. I can't trust two Packers. And then it doesn't even open up. I still like Conklin more than I like any of these other guys.
Yeah.
I think this is about as good as we're going to do. I think that's it. I think that's the lineup.
I mean, what if we took out Robinson and put in Singletary? That saves us $500.
I don't know if I want to pivot off Robinson.
3,400 at flex.
We get who in the flex?
If we take out Brian Robinson, we put in Singletary, and then take out Conklin. Now we should have 3,400 at flex.
36.
36. Okay.
So a little bit better.
So you can do Musgrave instead of Conklin.
Then we have two Packers again.
Oh, right. I got you.
Okay, so what if we you could technically now move Aaron Jones down to Brian Robinson, and then we have more. So then we could put in Musgrave as our lone thing, but I don't know if I really want to have a Brian Robinson less lineup.
No, I understand. Yeah, no, I mean,
I think that's it. I think this is our best bet. Because we get Goff and St. Brown, which should be good at home. We got DJ Moore, the best offensive weapon, coming back on the other side of that game. We have pieces of both Houston, Arizona with Dell and McBride. We got Brian Robinson in the Commanders' defense. So basically, we're saying that the Giants don't score. Brian Robinson gets a ton of volume. So we're making that bet, which I think is a good one. And then we got a one-off play of Aaron Jones and Tyler Conklin, both in good matchups.
Yeah, the only other thing I was looking at was you could take out DJ Moore and get Terry McLaurin, but I don't know
if we do that.
I feel like that's a run game.
Yeah,
low-scoring run game, not a passing shootout.
Then I feel like we would need to go with Sam Howell and just go full Washington.
Yeah, and I just don't think that'll be a high-scoring game.
I think that game's going to suck, but it's going to be a lot of Brian Robinson in defense, which that would be great for this lineup. So let's run it back. Let's run it back with the double tight end. So the Week 11 consistently Cashin lineup: Jared Goff, Brian Robinson Jr., Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tank Dell, DJ Moore, Trey McBride, Tyler Conklin, #2 tight ends, and the Commanders defense, $200 left on the table. So if you want to make some pivots off that, you got a couple $100 to do it with. So Bob, where can everyone find you here as we wrap up this episode, and everything you got at bigguyfantasysports.com?
Of course, find me on Twitter at Bob_Lung. And of course, consistently cashing we just did, but we also did Probably Like It's Hot. So check out that podcast. Got some great picks there. And then go check out the article. We got 8 picks this week in our Profit Like It's Hot article. A lot of great stuff. Some of them we just talked about earlier here on this show. And just check out everything that's out there for all the guys. A lot of great stuff, as always. James Knight, Robbie, Rumboy Robbie, with all his podcast on the Big Guy Fantasy Sports Network, YouTube network. And of course, don't forget to click on that Parlay Play link. Use our code BGFS to get some free money there, $100, and start playing at Parlay Play. If you watch the Profit Like It's Hot, Colby shared a couple of his picks for the week on that as well. So all good. Thanks again for having me on the show, and always fun to build some DFS at lineups.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. Yep, that deposit match over at parlayplay.io. Download the app from the App Store. And if for some reason you don't like your cell phone and you have an Android, you can download it on the Android store, whatever they call it. I don't even know because it's irrelevant.
Google Play.
Okay. That's fine. See, the screen doesn't even show it because the phone's junk. I got my #Team Apple over here. So on the iPhone, head to the App Store and get it there. But that will do it for the Week 11 edition of the Consistently Cashin podcast. Go ahead, get that lineup submitted. If there's any questions, let us know, and check out all the great content over at bigguyfantasysports.com. And just like that, that'll do it for this episode. And we will see you next week.